I don't know what the hell is happening here in Canada. When you look at gender politics or gender identity, it's been a growing movement. Now, it's been quite popular in America and created a massive division, but now it's really picking up a lot of pace here in Canada, especially with Alberta's kind of new policy to stop minors, banning minors from having gender affirming care or surgeries and puberty blockers and things like that. And Pierre Poilievre, the leader of the Conservative Party, Canada's next prime minister, all right, it's almost guaranteed that he's going to be the next prime minister. He's come out recently and said that there's two genders and parents should have the rights to decide what the hell happens with their kids, not the government. And today, well, he's got another pretty big thing that he's going to say here that we're going to take a look at in a moment in a recent press conference, or I guess a questions at a press conference with Rebel News here in Canada. And it's about gender. And oh my God, we just need more big people to talk about this because it's bizarre, man. I got a kid that's like a year and a half old. I have a second kid that's on the way that's doing about 4 months. And I'm freaking terrified of the future. What's life going to look like in Canada 10, 15, 20 years from now? Is it going to be like, hey, welcome, you just had a child, and is it a they, them, them, who, whatever alphabet thing, pronoun, or is it a he or she? Ugh, at the bottom of the list. I don't know, but it's bizarre, and I'm terrified as a new parent. I'm sure you are terrified too if you're watching this video. So without further ado, welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I want to encourage you all to smash the like button and subscribe. We're on route to 400,000 subscribers, and I would very much appreciate your guys' help. And I want to thank everybody who has gotten us this far, as well as, since we're talking about Pierre Poilievre, it only seems fitting to talk about these stickers here. You can find this link down in the description or the pinned comment below. WTF, Pierre to Trudeau, not what the F, but where's the funds? As well as a 20% off sticker bundle. You get all 5 of these stickers. The link for these are down in the description or the pinned comment below. So now let's take a look at the story. We're starting off with, obviously, we're talking about gender identity in this video. So let's just start off with this here. Trans basketball player achieves rare triple-double with 36 points, 14 rebounds, and 11 concussions. The reason why you're seeing a lot of people talk about trans athletes in like women's or men's sports or whatever it is because there needs to be, or at least a lot of people simultaneously agree, that there needs to be some sort of different league. Having a biological male who transitions and then is up against women, it's just a hormone thing. Like, you can try and take hormones to balance things out. Come on. We all know that's not going to work. And then it really doesn't help when you have influencers like this that's saying this is only going in one direction. You will respect us. Take a look at this video clip here.
Let me tell you something about LGBTQ rights, about trans rights. This is only going in one direction. You will respect us. You can be upset. You can be angry. You can think it's unfair. You can feel like we're stealing something from you. But it's still only going in one direction. You will respect us.
I don't think people inherently have an issue with trans. I think it becomes an issue when, like, a consenting adult can do whatever they want. Enforcing a whole new wave of pronouns, that there's a undefined a list for that. Like, how many, like, what's your pronoun today? Is it changing tomorrow? Like, that kind of volatility, it's just socially, it makes things extremely difficult and almost impossible to abide by that social norm. That's why we've gone as far as we have in civilization, because we have rules and people like to follow them for the most part. But the whole thing about the trans is the kids, right? The children, and then the whole, like, you can be a kid at a school and you can identify as a different gender and go into the different gender washroom. That's where a lot of people are like, hey, that is not okay. I don't want some little boy walking into the female washroom and, well, my daughter's in there, like, type of thing. And as a father of a daughter, yeah, that's not happening. I don't care what you identify as. You ain't going in there unless you're a biological woman, man. That's just how it is. All right. So now we have, this is Danielle Smith here, that there's a poll, I guess, that say more Albertans view Smith's trans policies as more beneficial than harmful, which I don't even see an argument against that, because how could you view a policy that protects children as harmful? we need social norms in our society. Very bizarre. Now let's take a look at just to kind of get in the mood for Pierre Poilievre. This is the final clip before we get into what Pierre actually just said about the gender stuff. But let's just get in the Pierre mood, get a little bit of momentum here, because I freaking love the way he talks.
Let me quote what he said about life in Canada after 8 years of his prime ministership, and I quote, "Yeah, grocery bills suck. Rent sucks. Mortgage renegotiations. Oh my God, how are we going to deal with it?" Mr. Speaker, this is life after 8 years. What is his slogan going to be in the next election? Vote for me and life will still suck?
Mr. Speaker, did he just say, vote for me and life will suck? I think that's what he just said.
Mr. Speaker, actually spoke the truth, maybe by accident, by saying that after 8 years, life sucks for the very middle class and those working hard to join it, to whom he promised so much. He taxed their grocery bills with a quadrupling carbon tax. He doubled housing costs after promising to lower them. He's unleashed a crime wave across the country. Now that he admits that life sucks under his leadership, why won't he accept our common sense plan to axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime?
When you look at who should be leading this country, man, is it this guy who's witty, who's intelligent, who can present himself in an appropriate manner, and who can gain respect from people, or this guy who doesn't even understand that the joke was about him? And then he paraphrased himself. It's very bizarre, the difference in the two people. But now let's take a look at this video here. It's on Rebel News' website or their YouTube channel about what Pierre's got to say about gender.
Good morning, Mr. Poilievre. David Menzies with Rebel News. Mr. Poilievre, for the last few years, our news organization has been covering what can only be described as a war on women. Biological males are pretending to be females, and these men are invading female safe spaces. This includes female sports ranging from volleyball to rugby. As well, men pretending to be women are gaining access to female shelters and even female prisons. This has collectively led to real women and girls being emotionally abused, physically injured, and my question, sir, is should you form the next federal government, will you make female safe spaces safe again by introducing legislation that bans so-called transgender women from participating in female sports and getting access into female shelters and female prisons?
Female spaces should be exclusively for females, not for biological males. You ask if I introduce legislation on that. A lot of the spaces you describe are provincially and municipally controlled. So it is unclear what federal legislation what reach federal legislation would have to change them. But obviously, female sports, female change rooms, female bathrooms should be for females, not for biological males.
This is incredible, ladies and gentlemen, and I suppose everyone in between. I have no idea what type of audience this video dragged in here, but that's incredible because you have not really had any other federal MP to date other than Pierre actually stand up and advocate for that. You have Justin Trudeau on the opposite side of the spectrum who says everybody is equal and we just need to be all inclusive and like, yes, and like however you identify, even if it changes day to day, that's okay because it's all about how you feel. Pierre says, no, man. No, he's taking a hard stance. This is something that's very new. We have not seen this in Canada. It first started off with Danielle Smith, the premier of Alberta, which in America, I suppose, would be, in case there's an American audience, premiers, I guess, would be like governors of a state. I'm assuming. Maybe somebody can correct me down in the comments. Now you know how educated I am in American stuff. it's amazing because it started off with the conservative premier of Alberta, right? Danielle Smith, who came out and said that we're stopping all surgeries and all gender affirming care for minors. We're putting a ban on it. There's an age of consent, just like there is for buying tobacco, buying alcohol, driver's license, gambling. There's an age that you have to hit in order to access certain services. That is phenomenal. And there was a little bit of pushback initially, but the further that it got more reach, the more people are like, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, we need to protect our children. And Pierre is now backing Danielle Smith's idea and just recent pivot towards, advocating for parental rights. And he is saying, yeah, at the federal level, we support women having their space and men having their space. You can transition as an adult all you want. That don't matter, man. You want to be 20 years old, in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and you want to change yourself up. Who the hell cares? Nobody cares. You might have the occasional person that goes, that's weird. People say that's weird about everything all the time anyways. It's like, don't take it so personally. People just provide their opinions on shit anyways. If it ain't weird about that, something else will be weird anyway. So who cares? But it's about the children and having those laws set in place. And this is phenomenal. And as a parent of a 1.5-year-old and soon to be a second child, right? I'm feeling a little bit more optimistic and hopeful. I'm not saying that I have plans to leave Canada. I'm not just jumping ship, but it's crossed my mind, and I'm sure it's crossed yours, of saying if things continue this way, if Trudeau somehow gets reelected, if the storm continues, what are we going to do? What's our exit strategy? And I'm sure I'm not the only one. Let me know down below if you have an exit strategy and what country you've looked at going to, because Canadians are fed up. And it's not just the gender. It's not just the taxes. It's an accumulation of everything. But now that you have Pierre Poilievre, who's about to be the next prime minister, unless there's an insane controversy or whatever, it's looking very, very good for Canada. And it makes me feel better. Well, not quite yet a tear to my eye. Maybe when Pierre gets elected and he gets voted in, then I'll have a tear in my eye for just feeling happiness of like, Canada could be a great, prosperous country again. Make Canada great again. All right, now let's take a look at the actual interview the speech that Pierre did that was leading up to that question.
Costs more for a 2-bedroom than it does for a castle in Sweden on a lake. Because after 8 years of Justin Trudeau and the NDP, housing costs have doubled across Canada. In fact, the average rent is doubled, the average mortgage payment has more than doubled, the needed down payment for the average home has doubled. Justin Trudeau has inflated the cost of everything by printing $600 billion of cash, causing inflation, which bumps up interest rates and now forces Canadians into the prospect of losing their homes. 2 million people line up at food banks in images that are reminiscent of the Great Depression after 8 years of Trudeau's taxes and inflationary policies. Yesterday, he joined with NDP Premier from BC, who is probably the worst housing record of any politician on earth. Literally, look at the prices. Vancouver is now the 3rd most expensive housing market in the world, comparing median income to median house prices. Check it on demographia.ca for yourself. This is because Justin Trudeau and the NDP have printed cash to inflate costs, and they've blocked construction by preventing people to build through bureaucracy and taxes. This, by the way, has been very good for land speculators, because if you are one of the lucky few billionaires that own plots of land that are zoned and permitted to build on, your land is artificially inflated by the fact that you have no competition. Because all the other places that that competitors would build are blocked off by local government gatekeepers. Great for the very rich. Thank you very much to the NDP and Liberal Socialists for stuffing the pockets and the faces of the billionaires while screwing over the middle class and causing, for the first time in Canadian history, that young working class kids and immigrants cannot even afford the prospect of ever owning a home. It now takes 25 years to save up for a down payment for the average family in Toronto. before Trudeau, you paid off a mortgage in that time. After 8 years of Trudeau, it now costs over $2,000 for a two-bedroom. When I was housing minister, it was $1,000. The reality is we have the worst housing prices in the G7 after 8 years of Trudeau, which is crazy when you think about it, because we have the most land to build on. It should be cheap to build a home. And then you have crime and chaos in our communities. Crime and chaos caused by Justin Trudeau's catch and release policies, supported by the NDP. Yes, they want to ban your hunting rifle, but they have no problem.
I'd love to know, actually, down in the comments, I'm just going to interrupt the stream. I'd love to know what you guys think down below. If you have to be a Canadian citizen to purchase a house, and if so, how long? You have to be a Canadian citizen for 2 full years before you can purchase a house, or 5 years? Like, what kind of policy should be put in place where it's Canadians that are buying houses here? Like, I feel like that's where the Conservatives are going to move to. Is they've already done, there's a current system in place to put a ban on foreign buyers. I don't know if you're aware of this or not. I don't have the details of that pulled up, but it's a very gray area, because I've talked to realtors about this, and there's a lot of exemptions. And you can even see that if you look at local listings on MLS or whatever it is, you can even see yourself, it'll say exempt from foreign buyer tax or policy, right? So people are finding ways around that. But if you have to be a Canadian resident or citizen for X amount of time before you can purchase a house, it sucks, right? Because you immigrate here, and immigration's good. And most people aren't against immigration. It's how much immigration, targeted immigration, right? You can't just open up the gate and say, anyone wants to come in, come on in. That's what America's doing. And there's a lot of problems going on there. But targeted immigration, filtered immigration, you know, having rules and regulations around our immigration is good. And even the smartest people in the world agree with that. But it sucks for immigrants to come here and say, well, we can't buy a house just yet. But if you want to live in Canada, you put in your time, right? 2 years, 5 years minimum before you can actually buy a house, and then you're stuck renting for that time. But then it's like, okay, so it's not a bunch of foreign corps or foreign buyers that are coming in and scooping up all this stuff. So I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments here. Now we're gonna get back to this video.
Problem releasing repeat violent criminals into our streets to terrorize our people and destroy our communities. They decriminalize hard drugs like crack and cocaine while handing out tax-funded opioids that are then sold on to children, causing this opioid crisis to spiral out of control. And who profits? The big pharma companies, the corrupt big pharma companies who caused the crisis in the first place. And let's talk a minute about big pharma. Here we are in a natural health food store. Justin Trudeau has accepted big pharma's plan to force complicated taxes, fees, and regulations on natural health supplements that will cause 1 in 5 of these stores to go out of business, that will cause the majority of labels to no longer offer their product in Canada or develop them here. And of course, it will force Canadians to buy more pharmaceutical medicines, which is the goal, so that Canadians have to profit big pharma rather than taking care of their health. So while Justin Trudeau's red tape attacks small businesses that offer natural health supplements like this one, his big pharma friends make off like bandits once again. The good news, and then on top of all of it, we have the Arrive scam. The Arrive scam, where Justin Trudeau paid at least $60 million for an app that didn't work, that we didn't need, and that could have been done for $80,000. One company, GC Strategies, has had approximately $250,000 of contracts, according to a La Presse study. $250,000 of contracts for a 5-person company that operates out of the basement of a cottage for IT services, even though the company admits they don't do IT work. Well, common sense conservatives are calling GC Strategies and its employees to testify under oath at a parliamentary committee. They're refusing. And so we've put forward a motion to have them arrested and physically dragged into the room to explain where our $250 million went. Where's the funds? Yesterday, Liberal MPs started a filibuster. That's a talkathon. Talking into the mic, running out the clock to prevent GC Strategies officials from being brought into committee. What have you got to hide, Justin? Why won't you bring in these consultants to explain why you gave them $250 million tax dollars? If you've got nothing to hide, get your MPs out of the way and let us bring them in here, because we have single moms who are putting water in their kids' milk because they cannot afford the cost of groceries, who are now paying taxes so that you can stuff $250 million into the pockets of this shady company. Stop hiding. Let's see the truth. The good news is common sense conservatives will bring home the Canada that we know and love. We'll axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, stop the crime. Axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, stop the crime. We'll axe the tax to lower the cost of gas and groceries. Notice yesterday, the lowest inflation, Manitoba, Saskatchewan. What did they do in Manitoba and Saskatchewan? Got rid of carbon taxes. They took the carbon tax off gas in Manitoba. They took it off heat in Saskatchewan. And as a result, gas prices went down dramatically in Manitoba, bringing the inflation rate down. In Saskatchewan, the cost of heat went down by 27%. No thanks to Trudeau. He wants to throw the Saskatchewan officials in jail for letting people keep the heat on. When I axe the tax, we'll bring down the cost for everyone nationwide. We'll cap spending, cut waste to balance the budget and bring down inflation and interest rates. We'll lower income taxes so people bring home more of each dollar they earn and hard work actually pays off. We'll require local municipalities to permit 15% more home building per year as a condition of getting federal funds. Those that build more will get bonuses. Those that build less will be fined, so that we can clear the bureaucracy and build the homes. We'll bring in jail, not bail, for repeat violent offenders. We'll end house arrest for career car thieves. We'll bolster our borders and our ports to stop the criminals from bringing the guns and drugs in and the stolen cars out. And we'll pay
And
for
they're
it
gonna
by reversing Justin Trudeau.
They're going to keep men out of women bathrooms, which is incredible. So the choice is yours, Canada. Is it going to be Pierre Poilievre or Justin Trudeau in a year and a half? That's where we're going to end today's video, folks. I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. Are you pro what Pierre is preaching, or are you against it? And if so, why? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe on your way out if you haven't yet already. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.